Rain lashed the city in relentless sheets, and the wind howled like a wounded creature tearing through the night. Thunder shook the very foundations of St. Francis Memorial Hospital, rattling fluorescent-lit windows as the occasional bolt of lightning cast fleeting, eerie shadows across deserted streets. Inside, Nurse Helen Carter hugged her coat tighter, each step toward the emergency department echoing with unease. 20 years in the NICU had trained her to brace for crisis, but tonight her heart thumped with an unfamiliar foreboding. Something felt deeply, inexplicably amiss. The automatic doors swung open, and Helen stopped cold. There, bathed in harsh hospital light, stood a German shepherd, so drenched that dark puddles spread behind him like a trail of secrets. In his mouth, he held a battered shoebox, its cardboard swollen and warped from the rain. The sight froze every soul in the lobby, paling the security guard whose eyes were wide with fear. "We tried to approach," he stammered, sweat beading on his brow, "but he won't let anyone near, except you, Helen." His trembling finger gestured to the vest around the dog's torso. A faded military olive drab, frayed at the edges, yet a stitched name tag still gleamed. Rex. Helen's pulse thundered in her ears as she stepped forward. Rex met her gaze, unblinking, intelligent eyes that seemed almost human in their longing. He made no growl, no move. He simply waited, as if he recognized her. With every heartbeat, the storm outside pressed harder against the glass. But in that moment, time slowed. What secret did this dog carry in that battered box? And why had a military service animal appeared on this storm-tossed night? Kneeling, Helen's gloved fingers brushed the soggy shoebox. The cardboard dissolved under her touch, and a faint, fragile whimper drifted out. A newborn's cry, weak yet unmistakable. Instantly, the entire emergency room fell silent, the storm's roar muffled by that singular sound. The fight for life at its very first breath. Helen's training took over. Radio in hand, she barked, "NICU team, report stat. Severe neonatal hypothermia, weak reflexes." Footsteps thundered in response as nurses and doctors burst into motion. Carts rattling across the tile floor like assault vehicles on a battlefield. One young doctor reached for the shoebox, but Rex stood firm, Keith gripping the edge until Helen's steady hand and gentle voice coaxed him. "It's okay, Rex. We've got this." Reluctantly, he lowered the box, still eyeing the child inside as the medical team whisked the infant away. Rex made no move to follow. He remained outside the NICU doors, his eyes locked through the glass on the tiny figure slipping into critical care. Intrigue and concern warred in Helen's mind, compelling her to study the worn vest. Beneath the frayed fabric, a dog tag hung by a single chain, Sergeant Daniel J. Whitmore. In her memory, a desert wind whipped across Afghanistan, dust swirling as a military helicopter descended. At the forefront strode Sergeant Whitmore and his loyal companion, Rex, a search and rescue duo whose reputation for saving lives preceded them. Through blistering sandstorms and sniper fire, they had hunted for lost soldiers, pulling survivors from wreckage that might have otherwise swallowed them whole. Then came Kandahar, the explosion. An improvised explosive device detonated beneath Daniel's feet, shredding the air with violence. In a haze of pain and dust, he collapsed, crimson blooming through his uniform. Amid the chaos of gunfire and shouts, one sight cut through the maelstrom. Rex, standing over his wounded handler, eyes wide with panic and love. Daniel's final command. A whisper against the rising gunfire. "Stay back, boy. Keep safe." And the rescue teams arrived days later, finding Rex emaciated and near collapse. He refused every human handler, insisting on remaining by his fallen partner's side. With no handler left he trusted, Rex was honorably discharged and sent to a sanctuary for retired military dogs in Chicago. But every veteran at Lakeside House believed his true mission had ended. No one realized it was only beginning. Meanwhile, across the city, Emily Whitmore sat on her bathroom floor, dog tags clutched in her trembling hand. The same tags her father's wore faint scratches from tireless service. At 18, she had never known Daniel as more than a memory painted by grandparents. When she discovered she was pregnant, results of a fleeting relationship, her heart fractured under fear and shame. How could she burden her grandparents with another child? How could she face anyone after this mistake? Panicked and alone, Emily spent her final prenatal days in secrecy, loose clothing, silent sobs. Then, in a moment of desperation on a stormy night mirroring this one, she wrapped her newborn son in a damp dish towel, placed him in a shoebox, and left a note. "We love you. We named you Alan Corey. God will watch over you," and walked away, never knowing that her father's last wish had been woven into Rex's unbreakable loyalty. Back in the NICU, the battle for Alan Corey's life raged on. His tiny frame, barely 3 pounds, lay pale and still, machinery beeping a dire warning. Helen's brow furrowed in concentration as she watched monitor readings dip dangerously low. Temperature 93.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Heart rate plummeting. Suddenly, Rex erupted in urgent barking, a deep, insistent alarm echoing down the corridor. Every doctor froze. What threat had he detected? Helen's gaze flickered to the incubator just as a faint blockage caught her eye. A tiny shred of fabric lodged in the infant's airway. Without hesitation, she turned the baby's head, dislodged the fragment, and pressed gently on his chest. Alan gasped, a sharp, life-affirming cry that sent relief flooding the room. Monitors steadied, breaths evened, a collective gasp, then joyous relief. Yet Rex remained stationed at the door, eyes unblinking. His mission pulsed on. The hospital doors swung open. Emily stood dripping, jacket plastered to her frame, eyes wide with disbelief as she surveyed the scene. Rex's posture shifted. Tensed no more, he moved deliberately toward her. Recognition lit his gaze, and with each step, Emily's past and present collided in an overwhelming tide of emotion. Helen approached, voice gentle. "Your son, he's alive." Emily's breath caught. Tears welled as she saw through the glass the tiny figure in the incubator. He's mine?" she whispered. Helen nodded, producing a small evidence bag containing the dog tag. "Whitmore, Daniel J." Emily's hand trembled as she touched the letters, memories of her father flooding back with vivid clarity. Then Helen revealed a yellowed envelope, official military seal still crisp on wrinkled paper. Hand shaking, Emily opened it. Her father's handwriting met her eyes. "If you're reading this, Rex has completed his final mission. Always know you are not alone. Love, Dad." World shifted for Emily. Knees buckled. She sank beside Rex, resting her head against him as tears streamed freely. For years she had run, from guilt, shame, heartbreak. Yet here was forgiveness embodied in a loyal dog and a message from beyond. "Take me to him," she murmured, voice choked yet determined. Rex trotted ahead, guiding her down the hall to Alan's incubator. The NICU's hush softened by gentle beeps and the swish of ventilators. Emily peered through the glass at her son's fragile form. Helen reached out, encouraging. "Do you want to hold him?" Emily inhaled, steadying herself, and stepped forward. The nurse opened the incubator, lifting Alan into Emily's arms. His skin, though still pale, moved with a newfound strength. Emily held him against her chest, feeling the faint thrum of his heartbeat, a lullaby of hope. A single sob escaped as she whispered, "I'm so sorry. I'm here now." At her feet, Rex lowered his head, eyes soft with completion. The dog who had crossed storms and deserts, survived loss, and braved a hospital lobby with nothing but love to guide him, finally stood down. Emily looked at Rex with gratitude too deep for words, then back at Helen, whose smile spoke of healed wounds and new beginnings. In that moment, a fractured family began to mend. A daughter reunited with her father's legacy, a son granted a second chance, and a dog whose loyalty transcended duty. Outside, the storm had spent its fury. Inside, life and love had won the night, and the question that lingered was not what path they'd walk to get here, but where they'd go next together.